Welcome to the first video tutorial from our series. We will be describing Blender's GUI setup, make our own preferences. So we begin by describing each window. So here we have the 3D view, where we have our objects that we can edit rotate around and place things and add things. This is the 3D view. To switch to another window, you can go, for example, for the logic editor or the 3D view like that. This 3D view has two sub panels like that: object, tools, and transform. Blender is based on shortcuts. You can press T or N to show or hide these two panels. Here we have the properties window, where we can change the materials, the scene, apply modifiers, etc., etc. So there are many layouts like animation, where we have the timeline here, compositing, game logic, scripting, etc., etc. So we will now create a new one based from default. We add a new one and this name shows up. We click on the text and add our new name. Let's call this interface. Okay, for example. So how to edit this interface? Alright, we can split the windows in Blender's GUI by moving the cursor to the corner until we see a cross mark like that. Then we can drag vertically or horizontally. In order to join two windows together, they must be niched near to each other, like these two. As example, these two can't be merged, so we grab the cursor to the other view like that. Keep merging them like that. Oops. So we can also resize by dragging these borders. Another thing to keep in mind is how to do the user preferences. Okay, before we touch on the user preferences, we will be talking a little about the 3D view. We can switch to many 3D views or perspective like top, back, etc, etc, or camera. Okay, when we hold the middle mouse button and keep moving the mouse, we rotate around the word. When we scroll the middle mouse wheel, we zoom in and out. When we hold shift and keep holding the middle mouse button and move, we pan. But as you can notice, the rotation here is not very easy to use. So how to solve this issue? We go to File, User Preferences, Interface. We won't be describing each parameter and what it does, so we only set rotate around selection, zoom to mouse position. When you leave the mouse over the tool, a tooltip shows, as you can see. So now the selected object, we revolve around the selected object, which is much easier for most of the time. We press Ctrl Alt and U as a shortcut for File, Blender User Preferences, and keep editing. We may smooth view, set it to 0. The transition between the perspectives, when they are changed, we don't need them because we are not making an overview of Blender's abilities when we are working. When we create a new object, it can be facing the current camera or the view, or it may be aligned to the top view. Now it's set to the word, so whenever we create an object, it's set to the top view. We will be describing how to add objects later. But when to the view, it got aligned to the view that we have created it in. You can choose turntable or trackball. Just play with them. Add-ons like creating gears and pre-made stuff, themes to change colors and stuff like that. So this concludes the basics of Blender interface. There are many things to discover in Blender's interface, like splitting the window, separating the window to another independent one. How to do that? Hold shift and move the window, or control to swap them and stuff like that. If you're using the game engine, use the Blender game engine to render. This concludes the first video tutorial in our series. Thank you.